Anime fans are weird. That's what people used to say. Loud, proud, and kind of mean. Back then, in some circles, saying you liked anime was social suicide. But now, over half of Netflix users watch anime regularly, and an anime movie, Demon Slayer Infinity Castle, beats Superman, Captain America, and Fantastic Four movies in theaters. Imagine saying this to someone in 2015. No one would believe you. So how did anime go from niche to mainstream? 10 years ago, when I recommended my friends anime, there was two stereotypical responses that I would often get. One, are you a child that still watches cartoons? And honestly, yes, I was a kid. But they were kids too, and they took pride in not watching anime. They thought anime was just Japanese cartoons for little kids, and they were cool grown-ups not watching it. 2, are you a weirdo? You probably know the otaku stereotype. But for those of you who don't, imagine a guy locked in his bedroom surrounded by figurines, never showering, never socializing, and obsessing over 2D characters. In Japan, otaku was originally a kind of insult. It meant someone so obsessed with their hobby they would disconnect from real life. And in the West, that stereotype stuck with anime fans. For a long time, people thought every anime fan was antisocial, awkward, or just disgusting. So how did this prejudice fall? Well, it takes time to break stereotypes. When one of your friends says they like anime, you might roll your eyes. But when it becomes 10 of your friends, you might question yourself and think, maybe they're right and I'll give it a chance rather than just shutting it down automatically. And then there's a generational shift. In the West, anime boom started in 2010s with shows like Death Note, Sword Art Online, and Tokyo Ghoul paving the way. I also started during this era. At that time, anime was new to a lot of people. They didn't know what it was, they hadn't tried it, so their thoughts were easily shaped by prejudice when they heard something negative about it. If you know most of the anime fans are from late teens to mid-20s. They grew up in a time when it was more popular and normal to watch anime. Those people with prejudice still exist, but they're not the norm anymore. With time, more people tried anime, and a lot of people who tried anime found it cool and they stuck with it. I think we need to thank Attack on Titan for some of this success, because it carried the torch for a long time being a lot of people's first anime. I'm actually pretty curious about this, so let me know your first anime in the comments. The prejudice will only go lower from here, so let's move on to the second reason. Back in the early 2010s, if you want to watch anime right after it aired in Japan, you couldn't just open Netflix or Crunchyroll. So what happened? Fans just casually carried the entire genre. Entire communities formed just to translate, subtitle, and upload anime episodes, usually within hours of the original broadcast. These weren't official translators. These were just passionate fans, often teens and students who wanted to make anime accessible for the rest of the world. And there weren't a million different translation AIs like now, it was pure hard work. And for a while, that was the only way most people outside Japan could even watch anime. That do-it-yourself culture and hardworking fans kept anime alive when it was still considered niche. At that time, you could see that they didn't care about the market outside of Japan. Then, big companies realized this huge potential. It probably wasn't that hard. Imagine an industry constantly growing with voluntary effort. And then, imagine what can happen when you actually put money into making better anime, marketing, and making it accessible. So a huge jump happened when big companies entered the space and made the process much more efficient. Now, most anime release at the same time in the whole world with professional subtitles and dubs ready to go. And let's not forget about organic marketing. Anime was always popular on social media and forums, but TikTok edits are actually perfect for the medium. Let's be honest, there are a lot of B-tier anime that depend on hype moments and aura farming. With a banger song and a good TikTok edit, you can actually multiply the effects of aura farming by a good margin. And that lures a lot of people in. Episodes being about 20 minutes also makes it easier to start an anime if they are not scared by the episode count. Now, anime is easier to watch, the top shows have more money behind them, and everyone knows when a new season drops. But the next reason anime went mainstream is way more personal and way more controversial. Let me ask you something. When did you enjoy anime the most in your life? For me, it was COVID. I was imprisoned in my home, school was online, and I couldn't do any social activities outside. Anime was one of the only things in this daily circle that kept me going. It was the good part of a miserable experience and it was truly enjoyable. I could binge entire anime seasons in a single day, and because I couldn't live my own life, those worlds felt like a reality to me. I watched anime in very different stages of my life. I watched it during school periods, during COVID, and when I had a long shift in an office job. I found out the experience gets worse when I have a job, because anime themes are often fantasy, and even most anime about casual stuff are pretty overdramatic. I think you would enjoy masterpieces anyways because they're incredibly well-made media that wouldn't be possible in any other medium like live-action TV or films, but they're incredibly rare, and when I came home from a 12-hour shift, it was boring to watch the main character beat the strongest evil force to ever live with the power of friendship. It might still be fun based on the series, but just lower on the spectrum. In this generation, we are more antisocial and we hate jobs more than ever. And even if we don't, a lot of people are jobless not by choice. This makes it easier for us to connect to anime, because our realities are already broken. When we are less connected to our world, it's easier to dive into someone else's world. That's part of what makes anime feel so powerful. It pulls you into these intense emotional realities. But anime also demands a lot of time. Some shows are packed with filler episodes, and others slow down so much that a 1-minute fight gets a 3 minutes of inner monologue from every character involved. When you are really into the world, that's part of the charm, you want to spend time there, but if you only have a few hours to yourself in the evening, that pacing becomes frustrating instead of exciting. So yeah, anime didn't just magically go mainstream. It took time, cultural shifts, real efforts from fans, and a generation that was finally ready to see it for what it really is. This was my take. Please subscribe and don't give up on everything in life to enjoy anime more.